Yo, this is WSoul13 bringing you Raid Shadow Legends. So today we're going to be looking at the new fusion champ, Mr. Hurndig right here. Alright, so first let's look at the little pieces that make up the fusion champ and how you should go about fusing him, right? So this is kind of like going to be an overall strategy plus evaluation of the champs type deal, right? First, it's gonna be 4 rares to fuse 4 different epics, and then you get Hurndig, the new fusion champ, right? So the first one up here is Myoclus or Mycolis. You say it. Ogren Tribes. He is a kind of a healer, right? Attacks one enemy and then it heals the champion 30% of the damage. I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to deal much damage, so not much healing there. But it'll also heal the ally with the lowest HP by 10% of their max HP, right? This heal will not affect this champion. So unfortunately, I think if you're the lowest HP champ in the team, you're not going to get the heal. So you probably want to stack him up with as much HP as you can, maybe some regen gear or something. And then shield on this champ, ally protection, all buff 2 turns. Alright. Heal all allies except their champ 10% of their max HP. Great, so another form of healing. And then 5% damage mitigation all across the board for all allies. 21% def and faction grip. So he's very kind of similar to Gear Grinder in terms of the utility he brings to your faction war teams, minus the revive. So Gear Grinder for me, he was pretty hard to keep alive, you know. But I think Mycolis will probably be in the same boat in terms of, you know, a little bit hard to keep alive at level 50. But it's possible, should be possible with regen or immortal gear, right? So that could be a particular purpose for him. I'm going to talk about why it's impractical to keep the rares, a copy of one each of rares. I mean, it is possible, just a little bit impractical. All right, so check this out. The other rare is going to be Hellborn Sprite, and this one's going to be Weaken, heal reduction, and increased buff duration for allies. So, you know, increased buff duration is actually a good effect to have. It's just, it doesn't pair with anything really that you want. Like 15% weaken for clan boss isn't really that strong by itself. Heal reduction, clan boss doesn't work out either. So, not sure about that one. I think that one is a bit of a bust in terms of a rare. What about this one? Odachi. So this one is actually more of a provoke type rare, right? The first one is the A1 is gonna be a provoke skill, and then the A2 is an AoE attack that puts a shield buff on this champion, just the champion, right? And then the A3 is going to be block debuffs and increase def, the small version. Block debuff 1 turn, increase def small version for 2 turns. Increase def in dungeons 25%. That's actually a strong aura right there. So how do I see people using Odachi? Odachi is more of a provoke set user, right? And I compare him very closely to Marked. Marked is a pretty decent carry for dungeons while also being very good in clan boss. So I think he can kind of be the same thing, be kind of okay for clan boss, like early clan boss, while at the same time be a control champ if with provoke set in dungeons, if you're going to use him like that in dungeons. So he's actually a pretty decent rare to have or pull. And then this one is going to be a clan boss specialist because A1 is going to be 5% poison, A2 is increased debuff duration on the enemy, but it's on a cooldown, so it's not as strong as it seems. And then that same 15% weak sauce, weaken, 3-turn cooldown, you know, not bad. You really do want him just doing this move, the A1. So most likely, if you are using it for early clan boss, it's possible you might consider turning A2 and A3 off, but most likely you're just gonna keep A1 and A2, maybe turn A3 off, especially if you already have another source of weaken on the team. And he does come with a little bit of increased ally speed, right? So all the rares are kind of okay to a little bit above average, maybe. I'd say the two Shadowkin rares are actually not bad, you know. And I think the Ogryn Tribe Void rare is actually decent. And I think the Spirit rare is the weakest of the four. The reason why I believe that it's a little bit impractical to try to pull for the extra 4 rares is the way the event is set up. The way the event is set up is you will either get all of the events to fuse the legendary, or there are 2 champs available at Epic at the, I think, Summon Rush and Champ Training. So if you get those 2, you can have slots for extra rares, right? If you want to keep the rares. Here's the problem. Those 2 epics that they've offered up, not really a problem. More like, here's the good part. The good part is those 2 epics that they're offering up at Champ Training and Fusion are actually the better 2 epics of the 4 that we have available for this one. So let's take a look. Siege Hulk. This one is a Fusion only epic, right? You're gonna have to get the 4 rares to fuse him to get him. And what he does is decrease turn meter if they have decreased depth or decreased speed on, and then AoE, decrease depth, and increase attack for allies. Decreased depth AoE is one of the best debuffs in the game. We all know that. And increase crit rate in Doom Tower by 24%. Okay, that's actually not bad. And then crit and crit damage, those are pretty good buffs to have in terms of just increasing the damage output of your team. He is pretty good, actually. In Ogryn Tribes, he's gonna be good. In Doom Tower, I don't feel like he's gonna be good in Doom Tower because he might end up just dying right away. But there are setups with him in Arena that could be pretty good. A good upgrade to War Maiden, right? So not really somebody I would go out of my way to have if you're going for the Fusion. If you're not going for the Fusion Legendary, he would be okay. If you need him for Ogryn, Faction Tribe, Faction Wars, right? It's okay. I think about it as a Faction Wars only champ. This is a freeze champ, right? So extra hit if the target's under freeze, and then you heal on the A1. Then the A2 puts freeze out, up to 100% chance, 3 hits at random. So this right here could be something for Faction Wars, right? Check this out. Attack 1 enemy, ignore increased defense and shield, alright? And also ignore 50% of the death. Plus you get counter attack on you and 50% increased attack. Why am I saying this could be something? Because Faceless is very strong in Faction Wars Night Rev in particular because of his ability to ignore 100% of defense. He's only going 50% of defense. But they are both ignoring the shields, which means he could be something that could break through Valkyrie waves at some point, right? So this is kind of like a really long-term type play because, one, we don't know what Shadowkin Faction Wars look like yet. Alright, and then you counterattack with the Cold Comfort skill, which is, which one? The A1. Whenever an enemy places a stun on an ally, which is kind of redundant because you already get the counterattack here, but, you know, I digress. So yeah, these 2 champs right here, the Ogryn Tribe one and Gory for Shadowkin, I think these 2, I think Siegebreaker, right, are kind of the lesser of the 4, but still pretty good. All right, they're kind of like above average epics. I think both of them are. This is where this is an Aox reskin. All right, so Scatix. This one is a good one. I really like this epic right here. So A1 puts decreased speed out. That's a great thing to have. A2 is a 3-turn cooldown if booked. Up to 100% chance of stealing a random buff from each enemy. So it's a buff removal skill. Buff removal has kind of increased in premium in my opinion because of Doom Tower, so has decreased speed. And check this out. These 2 skills have also increased in premium with Doom Tower. Block debuffs for 2 turns and shield for 2 turns. So shield has kind of gotten a lot better, right, for Doom Tower. The only thing is he won't be able to cover your whole team by himself. For Scarab games, you're gonna need to pair him up with something else. But block debuffs against Griffin Boss is amazing. And then block damage on this champ whenever their HP drops below 30%. Resist all battles. So I think this is a Doom Tower champ. Also, probably really strong in Lizardman. Doesn't have Revive though, but you now have Broadmaw for your Reviver. So him combined with Broadmaw could be kind of like the two carry champs you'll need to get your Lizardman faction through to 21. I think those two alone could probably do it with, you know, whatever support troops you can, or offensive troops you can fill up the rest of the comp with. And then I think this is the one that everybody is kind of going crazy over, which is the Hippo, Hofferes, the Tusk. Where are the Tusks? Oh, there they are. Great, cool. So check this out. So A1 is a stun, you know, it's not great. I mean, 2 times up to a, what is this, 30% chance. So it's actually not bad. It probably tops out about like 50%-ish if you count the 2 hits together, right? Increase buff, increase attack, and increase crit rate buffs. It's okay, you know. 2 books to cooldown. I think this is the one that's really driving people to want to pick this guy up. Is revive 2 random allies, 50% HP, 50% turn meter, and then they both get strengthened. This is really strong for skinwalkers, as long as you can time going around the buff and debuff exchange skill of the boss there. So I really like this for skinwalkers. So if your skinwalkers team cannot get through 21 because you're missing a reviver, that's definitely very plausible, right? Reviver, it to me is the most important part of a faction wars team. You can pick this guy up, and he is available as an epic, I think, for Summon Rush. So we'll take a look at the events real quick, all right? And I'll tell you a strategy on how to beat the events. Hurndig is the fusion champ, so people are already coming out negatively against him. It's, you know, it's par for the course with these fusion events, right? So every single fusion event, there's a lot of negativity, like, oh, this guy sucks, trash, legendary, trash. All right. If you haven't seen it yet, check out my Faction Wars roster video. I have a lot of fusion champs there that I used to get through Faction Wars. So this is how you should personally see fusion events. Fusion events is a good way for you to get extra rewards for playing raid anyway. So like doing Fire Knight, doing dragons, doing spiders, doing arena, all things that you do in the game anyway. But you get an extra layer of rewards on top from the events. Plus, you could get a guaranteed legendary champ. So legendary champs are kind of like the long-term most important resource in raid because, you know, it's a gacha game. It's all about the strength of the champs to get you through content, right? So even if a fusion champ is like gutter tier horrible, like Pixneal, you know, Pixneal could be a piece in your Faction Wars team for High Elves. Even though High Elves is a pretty stacked faction, Pixneal could be a piece there at level 50. So what they do for you is it greatly increases your Faction Wars strength because you're getting a 5-star champ. So you don't need to get all that food up to get your champ to 50. Plus you're getting a legendary champ with like amazing stats, you know, like the base stats for legendaries are pretty good, right? So basically, what you want to do is you want to assess if they're good enough to stand on their own, or are they more like a Faction Wars type deal, or just somebody you're waiting to get a buff on later on, right? So let's check it out. The first one, A1, is going to be a reset for Stasis Strike, and then, which is probably one of these skills right here, extra turn. Okay, extra turn is always good if you kill an enemy. So it's one of those snowball type deal where you kill an enemy, get an extra turn. And then this one is going to be AoE, decreased def, and decreased accuracy at the same time. Both are great. Can book down to 3-turn cooldown. And then this one is fully deplete target's turn meter, and if you ascend it, you're gonna put out weaken and HP burn. But HP burn will only go on if the enemy's turn meters are below 50%, 30%. And then you get turn meter fill. Alright, that's the passive. Alright. So we already know AoE decreased def is amazing, and to get that in Dwarves Faction is actually pretty good. And then the next one we're looking at is AoE weaken. So it's kind of like a 2-turn AoE weaken and decreased defense. So it's not as good as like Dracomorph or even Spider, right? Because Spider can put them on both at once. But you do have a bit of an option here to use him as an AoE HP burn champ, although it's not 100% reliable because of the conditions, which is the enemies have to be at 30% turn meter or lower. So that means your team has to be set up with some kind of turn meter, AoE turn meter reduction champ first that goes first, something like maybe Sylar or something. So I think all around it's not reliable as an AoE HP burn champ, but could do it, you know. Especially if you combine him with other champs that can deal damage or can sustain or whatever. Maybe it'll work. So why are you thinking about even fusing him if he seems so mediocre right now? Well, one, like I told you, he's good enough for Faction Wars in Dwarves. Easy. Alright? The other is he does give you a different look in terms of... He does give you a bit of a different look in terms of AoE decreased defense champ, because you do put decreased accuracy on as well. He hits hard, but you're going to have to be split between accuracy and damage stats, you know. So it's the old Astralon conundrum, right? Or Zargala, or what's the other one? I forgot the other one. But there are definitely champs that you want both accuracy and damage on. Understandable, they're hard to build, right? So it's not like you don't even bother, but it's just it is what it is. They are hard to build. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at the events and how you should look at this event. Okay, so check this out. The two best epics are available. Oh, I messed up on the Horfari's thing earlier. He's not available in Summer Rush. He's available in Champ Training. Even better. Alright, so check this out. You can play the fusion, I think 3 ways in my opinion. Alright, like 3 legitimate ways. So the first one, the one I won't mention is literally you just get the epic you want. Like, yeah, sure, you can do that. So these 3 ways guarantees that you get the legendary at the end, right? The first way is you do all the events plus you get Skathic and Hofferus, right? So this gives you 3 champs total, 1 legendary and 2 really strong epics, right? Summon Rush plus Champ Chase if you want to get Skathics. I think the totals there is going to go close to 5,000 points. Close. Maybe something like 4,000-ish. So what's going to end up happening there is to get Skathics is probably going to be in the 2,500 to 3,500 range, because that's how it's been for epics offered at the Summon Rush usually, right? Skathics is the Lizardman, right? So he is the super cool Lizardman that can do all the debuffs you want in Doom Tower. So he's pretty good. He's a pretty good epic. Hofferis, on the other hand, is going to be available in Champ Training. Okay, so now we go to method number 2, which is you only get the fusion at the end, but you are going to be saving on the Summon Rush event. Right? You're going to be skipping Summon Rush entirely. This means that if you're low on shards, you can actually still fuse for the legendary for somewhere in the 1,000 to 1,500 point range, right? So you're only going to need to do Champ Chase, which is going to be Mykolas right here, right? And then you're going to be able to skip. Actually, you can probably even skip. You can probably even skip that one. I'm trying to think. So you've taken one off. You can skip one. There's only one champ chase. Champ? Oh, yeah. Oh, so let me rephrase that. You can actually skip all the summon events doing this. Right? So if you go for Holferes, the Tusk, in champ training event, unfortunately you're going to have to sacrifice him to turn him into Hurndig, right? But you can actually do this entire fusion event, right? As long as you do the 3 other events in Mykolas, right? And then the 3 other events in Summon Rush for Assassin, right? And then for Hellborn and Odachi, you get to skip one. You get to skip one event each. So this method allows you to skip all Champ Chase and Summon Rush. Plus, you're only skipping an event each on Hellborn, Sprite, and Odachi, right? Pretty good. So you get to skip 2 energy events, right? And then you don't have to pay shards at all. And then you can get a Hurndig at the end. I think that is an amazing way to play it if you want to play it that way. But at the same time, you don't get the benefit of having Holferes on your team, right? The other way to do that would be to skip the other way to save maximum amount of time, but you're gonna have to pour in around 3,000 points for Summon Rush in particular, right? If you do that, if you pour in the 3,000 points in Summon Rush, you can get Holferes. You can get Scathix, sorry. So you can get Scathix, right? And then also get Holferes, but you'll be able to skip 8 events if you do it that way. That's a massive number. That's literally half the events you can skip by just focusing on this champ training right here, right? You just got to make sure that the events you skip are 2 each from each of the rare. That's it. That's the only kind of accounting you'll have to do, and you're going to have to do that on your own, you know? But that saves you a lot of time and energy. So you can play it that way, and you can get Hurndig in the end. Me personally, I'm going to be doing the just finish all the events plus get Scathic and Holferes. Yeah, because I want the reason why, even though I'm already done with Faction Wars, is I do content too, so it's good to have different champs, and getting them this way is a very efficient way for me to get specific kinds of strong champs right in my roster. And then the other one I do recommend is going for Holferes and then going straight for the fusion champ. That way you can skip champ chase and summon rush. And of course you can also do it the other way, which is you can get both epics, and now you can skip 8 events, which except summon rush. And 2 each from each rare. Hopefully that helps you figure out what to do for Faction Wars, for the Fusion event.